Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Wine and Wardrobe with Rayne, broadcasting to you from my living room. Each episode will be filled with fun stories and super simple stylish advice. My next guest is Jordan Duvall from Ignite Your Soul brand. She is a branding expert. We're going to be chit-chatting about the biggest issues and problems that she sees entrepreneurs making with their business, how we can fix it, and my experience with working with her. P.S. I cried. If you're wondering why, you're going to have to listen. I'm going to go ahead and read you her bio. Jordan is the creative director and brand strategist for Ignite Your Soul brand. And she works with entrepreneurs who are successful in their business, but if someone looked them up online, you couldn't tell. On a side note, here's how Jordan and I met. She originally reached out to a different stylist who no longer did one-on-one consultations. That stylist referred Jordan to me, and then now I've worked with Jordan. She's also referred clients to me. I've referred some clients to her, and again, we've developed a great symbiotic relationship. We're gonna go ahead and hop on over to our interview. If you like these interviews, make sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget to comment. All right, Jordan. Hey girl, how are you?
Good. How are you, Rayne? I'm excited to be here.
For me, it's like 11 o'clock, so I haven't started drinking yet, but I do water in a wine glass because I always like to feel like it's a party. So cheers.
Cheers. I have my regular water bottle.
What is since coronavirus happened, I know you moved from Los Angeles to North Carolina. Tell me your go-to uniform right now and what that means.
During coronavirus, my go-to uniform was kind of some days just pajamas, but I slept in the night before, to be totally honest. Some days it was like yoga pants. Now that campus started and we're kind of getting back to a little bit, at least moving in the direction of functional again. I cleaned out my closet and I'm getting dressed every day and putting on makeup. So I feel like I'm making huge strides.
And I think that's what a lot of us were doing. First, it was like, hey, we get to be in pajamas all day long. And then the novelty kind of wears off and you just feel like crap. So you're like, I miss getting dressed. I miss putting makeup on and looking cute.
Oh, totally. I'd go on Zooms and I was just like, oh my gosh, is that what I really look like? There were some days I was like, I can't even bring myself to put on makeup. I just don't care. I'm just trying to get through.
Can you tell me what is the biggest mistake that you see entrepreneurs making with their brand and their business?
Well, I think, we all have different stages in our business and branding is one of those things that evolves as you do. And clarity kind of comes as you do. The biggest challenge that I find oftentimes for people just starting out is the lack of consistency. Instead of kind of doing a deep dive, whether they do it by themselves or through a self-paced course or with a program or a coach or whatever it may be, or hiring someone, they'll do it on their own and then they change it based on their mood. So it's like, well, today I feel like this font and today I feel like that color. And so there's no real strong foundation to what it is that they're sharing, sort of under the hood from a messaging and strategy standpoint. And it's reflected externally in the visuals where it's kind of all over the place with the fonts and the colors. And so people just, they don't instantly recognize you. And that can sometimes erode trust, erode credibility, and then the reverse builds trust and builds credibility. So I think it's really important, even if you decide ultimately to change, I'm actually going through I'm doing with the process I do with my clients on myself right now. Going through that process it's an evolution. And then from a business standpoint, I think, focusing on the wrong things, and not really not pitching, not making sales, not having a clear offer. Ultimately at the end of the day, a business is an offer. I'm working with a client right now and, I'm just like, you need an offer. Without an offer, you don't have a business. So we're ironing out the offer and, he's just putting the things together. I'm like, just put your offer in a Google Doc with a link to PayPal. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it out there. And I think that oftentimes we can get stuck in that perfection. And I'm, as much about pretty graphics and websites as anybody. But in the very beginning, it's just get out there, sell, get clients, get some revenue in, get some confidence, start saving up to invest in branding, whatever that looks like for you, and go for it.
For us in our layman term, what do you mean by put together an offer? Because I know most people branding, they say have your top 3 packages. So
right.
In your words, what does your offer mean? Is it the offer for all 3 packages? If someone has 3 packages, is it one package? What is it?
So I would say an offer is 1 unit for sale. If you're going to break it down, an offer could be you're buying a t-shirt, right? Or it could be, buy 3, get 1, get one extra or whatever, right? So ultimately, in a more service-based business, an offer is what is it that you're providing to the client? What is the deliverable, if there is one? What's included in that, whether it's calls or actual like a brief or something like that. What is it that you're giving to someone in exchange for the money that they're getting
Awesome. I love how clear cut everything is with you.
you?
All right. If someone's just starting a business, or if they've had a business for a while and they haven't yet defined their brand, what are 3 steps that they can make on their own in order to provide a cohesive, powerful brand image?
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing, and no matter what stage you're at, but especially in the beginning, is to figure out who your ideal client is. Like I was just doing this exercise with a client the other day, and you really want to dial in who it is. And we were going into like nuances of it,
I sorry not to cut you
yeah,
off.
go for it.
For so many years, those of you listening, I took Jordan's class. She made me do it.
I make everybody do it. I had a call with someone else the other day and he was like, I want to help everybody. And I was like, look, I challenge you to pick someone, because there's no way that we can work on your messaging if we don't know who we're talking to. So you're going to make my job impossible. And like, you're going to get unqualified leads and you're going to be tortured. So ultimately it's so much better to choose, and you can change and you can evolve, and that's totally fine. But pick someone now and then get started and change and evolve. But that is the number one most important thing. And to get over the fear of being specific, because ultimately, if you're having a conversation with someone, you need to understand what the conversation is about. So you need to know, what are their challenges, and who is it? Like I was talking to someone yesterday and we were talking about, she's, doing healing modalities for women that want to get pregnant. And I was like, okay, well, if a woman's coming to you and she's like 30 and like ready to go, she doesn't really have any challenges. She's going to have a very, certain set of experiences and expectations. Where if someone's had challenges getting pregnant and it's been a long time, and maybe they've had like miscarriages or something like that, she's going to come to the table with a different set of circumstances and challenges and pain points. And then maybe you have someone who's coming to the table who's like, kind of at the end of the like ideal window. She's just like, let's do this. Like I'm running out of time. So all 3 of those scenarios are going to have different life experiences, different challenges. And so you just want to be clear of who you're talking to and what that is, because otherwise it kind of falls on deaf ears, and they can't self-select because they don't hear you talking to them.
Define your niche would be number 1. And then once your niche is defined visually, what can somebody do to make it more like a cute outfit? I mean, your Instagram feed, your website, all your social marketing, because back in the day, we didn't have all this. So it was just like, you get your one cute picture and then that's it. But now
Right.
when you're out and about in your outfits and you're taking photos and you're posting your website, it is so much information.
Yeah, totally. And you want to be consistent.
Yeah. So what can we do to make our brand look like a cute outfit?
Yeah. Well, I think, again, if you're just starting out and, like, I think it's wise to, like I said, put your energy into generating the revenue of the clients and just pick something and get going, and, know that you're going to invest in branding and whatever that looks like for you further down the road. So you can do that through getting templates, but I would pick something and make it as elegant, chic, and sophisticated as you possibly can, so that people take you seriously. Because if you're using, mismatched colors that don't have like a harmony with them, and you have like, a red font over a pink background, it's like, what, and put some effort into your Instagram feed. I was actually just writing a training today about, how to use Instagram to build your list and, book out your calendar with clients. And, people go to your Instagram feed and they look, it's like your calling card, right? I mean, I don't think most people go to your Instagram and then I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, I checked out your Instagram and now like I want to have a conversation with you, versus before people used to go to your website. So putting some care and thought and intention into your Instagram, and the colors that you use on your Instagram should be the colors that you use in your PDF, should be the colors that you use on your business card, should be the colors that you use on your website. So you've got to be consistent across the board there, because otherwise someone's going to interact with you and be like, wait, I'm confused. Like her website has this and her Instagram looks like that. Like, is this the same business? And whether they're conscious of it or not, subconsciously they're like, something's not right here. I don't trust this person.
No, I always say it's more of a subconscious thing. When somebody looks at you, whether or not they want to do business with you, they're not going to think, oh, you're using different fonts on your Instagram and you're dressed like in rock and roll check on your Instagram. person, you look like you work at a bank. Like people aren't going to think that's why. They're just gonna be like, they're just going to have this feeling
Exactly.
to work with you.
Exactly. Well, the subconscious is where all the decisions are made. And so that's why for me, branding is so much about depth, because when you really dig down and get kind of behind the scenes and into the cobwebs, that's where the true magic lies. And you can really tap into that and convey that meaning and that expression and that depth so that you are communicating with people on a subconscious level. So, they kind of buy into you before you even open your mouth.
You mentioned pre-made templates. Is that from Canva? What do you recommend? What do you mean by pre-made templates?
Yeah, I mean, you can find them all. You can go on Canva. Creative Market is a great resource. Some designers have their own pre-made templates. Like I know some that do. Canva has great ones. Styled Stock Society, they're they're an amazing service. I actually just was promoting a bundle where you could get it for like $100 along with a bazillion other courses. And it was amazing because I was like, I need photos because I've been trapped inside forever. And I've been planning other people's photo shoots. So I haven't done my own in so long. So
to get cute photos right now because you don't get dressed as much.
Exactly. So, you can sign up for some of those. So the Styled Stock libraries, Styled Stock Society is great. Hot Stock, HAUTE stock. There's a bunch of them. Some of them have Canva templates or other templates. I would recommend, unless you're like a whiz in Photoshop, I would recommend Canva. I mean, I actually my background is working in Photoshop, so I was like kind of a snob about it, but Canva is just amazing and easy, and you can just it makes everything the size you need it. Like I recommend getting the paid version.
All right. So when you talked about digging deeper into your niche and your audience and your brand, your class was coming back to me where I cried.
Yes, exactly. I was like, oh no, I'm like, my goal is not to make people cry, but sometimes it's necessary to get through.
I took Jordan's Ignite Your Soul brand branding class, and it was a Saturday, and it was about 5 or 6 hours. And in it, there was just so much information that you were giving away. And when sometimes it's foreign to someone, we expect to get what which is probably taking you 10 to 15, 20 years.
20 years.
Me too. It's like, if you work with me for 1 hour, you're not going to know what it's taken me 20 years to do with your style. It's like Rome wasn't built in a day. So I cried during your class. Was that a normal reaction? And I feel so much better after it, because sometimes it can be painful when you're evolving and you're changing. And we came up with our one only statement. My niche is more defined. And the pain points from the clients as well has just been like so eye-opening. So I thank you for that. So was me crying normal?
Honestly, I've never had anyone cry in a session or a workshop or class before. But life is unexpected. All things go on. We were going through a very challenging time in the world. I know you were challenged in your business. There was stuff that you were kind of like frustrated with for a really long time. And I was challenging and pushing you to answer questions and make decisions, which, you'd been resisting for a while. And, one of the reasons that I did the format of that workshop the way I did is I wanted to do it all, as much as I could in one time to force people to make decisions. Because sometimes you can, if you have a one-off session or something like that, or multiple sessions, you could have a week or two in between, and you can go and like change everything in that time. And you're like, oh, I've redone everything. And it's like, well, we made progress. I had one client, we literally were like on the last session, and she's like, I've changed my entire niche in my program. And I was like, wait, what? Like, you were like about to launch your program. I'm like, okay, well, we can revisit this, but and then she circled back. So part of me was like, I wonder if that was like hitting up against her edge and she kind of like tricked herself out of it, but that's a story for another time. So, I think part of it is, pushing it up against your edge and like meeting that resistance head on. And it's like, wow, I have to make a decision in order to move forward.
Mm-hmm. So good. So you came up with my one only statement that I want to share because I just love it so much. It's taken me 10 years to get it. I want to read it out loud because it's so good. Okay.
Go for it.
The only statement from Jordan was, the only style coach that helps goal-getters achieve a personally polished look on the outside with the confidence to match on the inside while having fun along the way.
Yay! Love it. I mean, it totally fits you, right?
Yes, because a lot of times when you think of stylists, they're kind of, well, everybody's different, but my personality is so fun. So when I go back to read my Yelp reviews, which I was telling you, almost 90% of the 60 that are up there had how much fun I was. And I was like, how can I add that in there? And how can it be goal getters? I mean, because we were deciding whether it was like business, this and that,
Right.
just working. Sometimes when you just work with someone, it pushes you to a different chapter and different vocabulary words, and then you come out like a more knowledgeable with a more knowledgeable vocabulary than you went in with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think, there's so many different ways you can go about your niche, right? It's like you can go from kind of a psychographic thing for you. It's, because we were kind of going back and forth because you work with people from a different business perspective, right? You have some people that are, maybe out of a marriage and they want to revamp their style and like go find someone else to have a relationship with. Maybe you're working with actors that are doing headshots. You're working with boss babes and entrepreneurs in the online space. So from, a client standpoint, you have sort of from a demographic standpoint, we have different stats that people, check the boxes off of. However, there has to be some sort of congruent through line between different avatars. Otherwise, then you have like, that creates a high level of complexity, and some people do have that. However, if you have a small team or it's just you, I would not recommend that because you're going to go crazy. So if you have a full team that can like manage the marketing messages for different avatars and like different emails and all that stuff, go for it. But you need people to help you with that. So I think it's really important to, pick that person and then dial it in and talk to them.
In regards to, you mentioned you kind of hit on creating a color palette.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, I love me some colors. Is there certain colors that you would recommend that more people use, or how do you kind of decipher when you're building out a color palette for somebody?
So funny. People ask me this all the time, and I wish I could be like, "Well, you're pink, and we're gonna do pink." For me, it's. I don't want to say it's a complex process, but it's like it's a process of depth, and for me, it's like people have intuitions about different things. Like I see and feel in color. Like I just get hits of color, and I think there's different ways you can look at it. One is, what is the feeling that you want to convey, right? Because different colors convey different feelings. And so that's a way that you can look at it. And then there's different shades. And I think, sometimes it's helpful to people, depending on how you learn, is coming at it through maybe a verbal standpoint, right? So it's like, how do you describe your brand? So if your brand is bold and edgy and, brash, and then you have like light green,
Pink and yellow, right?
right. Well, and if you have like pastel colors, it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like it doesn't. So the congruency has to be across the board in absolutely everything that you do in order to activate that magnetism from a subconscious level. So there's that. You can think. I think if you're doing it on your own, that's probably the best place to start. I remember I had a call with a client a couple of years ago, and we were on the phone, and she's like, "Yeah, I picked my favorite colors. I had like a teal and a pink," and I was like, "Okay." And like in my head, I was like, "We'll see if that sticks." Like, I mean, your favorite colors are cool, but is that really conveying the message that you want? Does that speak to your ideal client? I don't know. So, when we went through this whole process, and she was doing a fitness brand, and she wanted to create like like an actual 3D location, and she wanted to wrap it all around the elements. And so through that discovery of like, what is the meaning? What is the mission? What is the purpose of this? What is it all about? She discovered that it had this very natural element, and she wanted it to be a unit, she wanted to cater to men and women. So I was like, well, if you want to cater to men and women, you need to have like somewhat unisex colors, right? So purple and orange are kind of good for that. So she ended up leaning into like kind of an eggplant purple. It was like a purple with these different like beige tones to it, and black and white and stuff. And so there's a layer. And again, if you're just starting out and doing this on your own, you may be like, what are you talking about? I have no concept of how to even get that. Then just pick your favorite colors and get going and get your clients, and then work it out. But if you are working with a professional who does this, there should be some purpose and meaning. And then like within, and this from a style perspective, there's different ways to create pairs and groupings of color, whether it's complementary or, you like, there's just a whole matrix of things that you can do. And then I've actually like added another layer into the color work that I do, that I'm like, oh, am I crazy for doing this?
It can go, just keep on going. I just have, yeah.
But like, you did the color palette, like what season are you to me years ago. And I worked with someone else. She was helping me with something and then did a reading on me, and they were a little bit different. So I was like, this is interesting. So I've been kind of taking that into account too, is, because colors are energy and emotion, and you really want to have them convey. And if you need to come at it from an outer perspective and say, how do I want people to feel when they interact with my brand? And then you come up with the words, then you can say, do these colors fit the bill of these words too? Like that might be a way to kind of reverse engineer if going the other way, like intuiting the colors is like, I don't have any clue how to do that.
I love it. So we're almost out of time, but obviously you can see Jordan and I can just go on and on and on. We could do like a whole 50 minutes on.
Oh my gosh. We'd be like, let's talk about this. I was like, oh, I could get into semantics of vermilion versus orange versus deep red versus brick red versus maroon. I was like, let's do it.
Okay, so what is your one piece of clothing thing that you think everybody should own in their closet?
I think a nice pair of black pants or a black dress or both.
Those are definitely two of the core wardrobe pieces that I also recommend. Can you just drop your website and your handle, and how do people work with you if you are what they need?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can find me on the interwebs at igniteyoursoulbrand.com. And then it's the same thing at Instagram. You can just look up igniteyoursoulbrand.com, and Facebook is igniteyoursoulbrand.com. As far as the best way to reach me, if you go, email is probably the number one, just because I'm regularly keeping up with that. And then Instagram DMs is probably the next best way. I take a little bit longer just because sometimes I get a backlog and it takes me a little bit longer. So if you are interested in, if I can help you or serve you in any way, feel free to just shoot me a message and we can set up a call if I'm the right fit to help you with your brand, so you can be in demand and booked.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I hope you all enjoyed our friendly, fun discussion with Jordan today. And make sure to tune in next week when we have Bonnie Poirier of Poirier Photos. She is voted the #1 LA headshot photographer many years in a row. See you soon.